I'll never play guitar again. This is exactly what I thought 9 years ago when I got nerve damage. In this video, I'm gonna get real with you guys about how my worst fear came true. I've debated long and hard about doing this, so grab yourself a snack and some WAP juice and let's get deep. Don't let your worst fears come true by losing your skills on guitar. It's time to get back into fingering the G string. Being able to hear something in your head and then make that a reality on your instrument is a gift that you must cultivate through the practice of technique and the acquisition of knowledge. Score my free guitar newsletter below to get you back on track, and if you want to really become a full-on riff lord and composer, check out my full music theory course: songwriting, scales, keys, chords, and more. So I wasn't gonna make this video, and then I started thinking about this meme. It says, "Do you like metal?" She says, "I don't really get it. When life sucks and you feel alone and empty, you stick on some metal and life is better because somebody else knows the pain and the rage that you're going through." Sometimes we think that our past experiences and pain are unique, that no one else can relate. We suffer in silence under the delusion that no one else would get it even if they knew. But the truth is, suffering is universal. It's something we all experience. So by sharing our own stories, we can become stronger together. I first noticed the pain in my left hand bird finger on the way to practice one night. As I was driving my car, I noticed these little pinpricks in my finger. During band practice, I felt like I was riding the lightning. Every once in a while, I would just get this jolt come up through my fretting hand. And I'm thinking to myself, what is going on? Is this repetitive stress? Maybe some tendinitis or carpal tunnel? God forbid, arthritis? This is back in 2014 when I just turned 30 years old. Kind of young to be getting arthritis. Later, the pain started to spread through the rest of my hands and even down through my feet and legs. At that point, I was like, oh shit, something's going on and it's not carpal tunnel. I couldn't sleep. I was constantly irritable. It felt like there was this electrical current buzzing through my body constantly. If you've ever grabbed an electric fence, it's like a small version of that. I have done that, by the way. I would not recommend it. At this point, I was having a lot of trouble playing the guitar, so I got these gorilla tips. They're like these little wax things you can put on the end of your fingers, and it's supposed to help you from experiencing pain when you play. It's like this meme says, "I want to play guitar, but the strings hurt my fingers." I was no beginner at this time, but I felt like one. My practice sessions started to feel like this meme. It was almost like my strings had turned into barbed wire and I was getting these little pricks and jolts through my fingers. The gorilla tips just weren't helping, and so finally I went to the doctor. When the blood test results came back, the doc said I had a very low vitamin B12 level. He explained this could be the cause of the nerve damage you're experiencing. For some reason, my body was just not getting enough vitamin B12. So I started administering B12 shots to myself. I don't know if you've ever given yourself shots before, but it's kind of mentally traumatic if you have a fear of needles. I didn't like the idea of just shoving it in really quick, so I would slowly push the needle in. I found that to be easier for some reason. This period of my life is by far the darkest and worst thing I ever experienced. For me, and I know a lot of you guys watching, the guitar is kind of like therapy. It's a healing experience to play. It's like this meme says, maybe if I get a guitar, I'll be happy. Yes. Being deprived of the ability to finger my G string had a really negative effect on my mental well-being. So I put down the guitar thinking, I don't even know if I'll ever play again. And at that point, my mental health and well-being started to devolve into a downward spiral. I had to strategize how I was going to get through this period in my life without losing it. So I started to practice in my mind. Whenever I would hear music on the radio or in public or anywhere, I would pick it apart and analyze it and then come up with my own riffs and melodies. This kept my musicianship active and moving forward despite my inability to work on technique. And this is where a lot of guitarists get in trouble because they're just guitar players. It's like this meme says, music theory? No thanks. Just guitar for me. What happens if you lose your ability to play? Then you're just a guitarist. You're not really a musician. This meme here says it best: when you realize you can play songs by ear, unlimited power. Truth is you don't actually need an instrument to progress musically. I had to learn this the hard way. And thus, I began my long, hard road out of hell. It was a full year before I picked up the guitar again. I can't even explain how demoralizing this was. I started to ask myself questions like, how did this happen? Am I putting too much pressure on myself? Is it my diet? I'd been experimenting with the vegan diet, which wasn't going too well. I felt like I was losing touch with myself because this was around the time that all of my band ventures had failed after I moved to LA. I wasn't seeing any results in my career really, and this had a catastrophic effect on my psyche. I was pushing myself really hard. I remember teaching guitar throughout the city of Los Angeles, 14 hours a day. On top of that, trying to think about what my next move was in the music industry. I was looking for meaning and a new path forward. This pain and suffering did have a silver lining. I would say my self-awareness increased, my ability to apply self-care. I realized I wasn't a machine anymore. I don't know if you guys have ever gone through a really dark, hard time in your life. What helped you get out of it? Developing character traits like persistence, determination, consistency, always having your eyes set on a goal that you want to achieve, and the idea that your suffering is temporary, that problems are solvable. So many times I think we have this sense that we're stuck and that there's nothing we can really do to improve our situation. That's just not the case. To this day, I still feel echoes of that nerve damage in my body. I don't know if that will ever fully go away, but through time, I've learned how to manage my pain and take on more reasonable tasks and goals and sort of pace myself better. What I realized is that suffering is a part of growth. Progress is really growth over time. If you can just stay your course, whether that be, the highway to hell or the stairway to heaven, the results will come. Share your story below. Maybe there's been some difficult challenges that you've faced. Use the power of metal and playing guitar to heal you. Problems aren't as big as they seem. Overcome your problems at my Patreon page below. That's where I have all my courses and tabs, Discord access, where we inspire each other and keep each other accountable to practice and improve and to make gains. This is about finding your tribe and true connection. I know we're starved for that in an age of social media. It's very healthy to get around people that see the world as you do and share common values. Now I'm gonna go ride the lightning.